How my voice?
yesterday. I hope we have the opportunity to cover all that ground here. And by the way, we're doing this as a live interview. We're going to do this as a
I'm
Q&A. Feel free to
talking.
ask questions, and I'll bring them up as appropriate.
I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people from Scientology. Because Tom Cruise comes up a lot.
To think that they're going to be in this nice little cush place where there's a bunch of people watching them. And what people
Because a plus and a minus, or negative and a positive, comes up.
A sex offender, right? Correct. It's the second rung on the ladder.
And
the lowest being doing that to a child. The next rung up is where he is.
This was all planned out.
Considered the scum of the earth. He gets sent to a PC yard, but there are killers on those yards. For instance, let's say you
special treatment all the way around for a lot of people. No more. You cannot escape this part. Karma's coming. Like, I like this part where justice is coming no matter what. Like, me telling you boys, me telling you and leaving these notes, that's somebody's karma. My mom needs to go to prison. She's doing that herself. She's living in her own prison right now, but to me, it's not good enough. It's not good enough because she wanted me dead. She'd rather see me dead. And it would still continue like this. She has to work and work and work because the bills have to be paid. And if anything, if she got money from me because I'm dead, she would use that and go and gamble. For Jerome, let's talk about porn. That when people make that shit, they are hurt. They're trying to cope with whatever pain it is. So other people will use that and be like, alright, use for slave way. And a lot of people don't understand that is from trauma. When someone says do something and then they do it and they don't really like doing it, or they're taught a lot of, it's very confusing how the mind, how brainwashing works. As a child, you should not grow up to having sex with adults. And a lot of these babies grow up thinking that that is okay. My offsprings, I'm telling you, that is not right. That's why a lot of people will baptize their kids, because they'll say that kids are born sinners. And that is from this hate. I had friends that did that. They go, oh, babies, you gotta get your kids baptized because they're sinners, they're born mean, hateful. I ditched those friends right away. I don't need them in my life anymore. I'm done. You're gone. That was high school shit. I don't need you anymore. You're done. Once I graduated, I left that. I even graduated with a different name, my offsprings. I did not graduate as a Cormany. And my dad said that I can graduate with the Cormany now. I am doing that. But in this life, I got to burn bridges. I got to cut some cords. I got to graduate with a wall, like a strong, or take down a wall, or whatever that name, that type of means. That's what the path I chose. Now, I did not know that this is the path that damn, my boys, my offsprings, I need you so much, because this is going to be very, very lonely. It's sickening. It's disgusting. These politicians will use Jesus and God and go into your phone and prey on these children. I have a bunch of porn shit on my phone from Instagram and stuff like that is coming up on like strangers
his family dry. They're going
they
to
will come up
get to a
as
point where his loved ones are going to have to make a decision. Do we continue to pay these people, right? Do we risk calling the cops? Because if they call up and say, this is the person I'm sending the money to on the street,
requests.
That's I promise you, bad things would happen on the inside. They will bleed that guy dry. And, I watched it happen in the federal system.
Those are all pornography.
There were some really high-profile people that went to the feds.
Like Good Time, this and that.
I remember sitting in
that those are like links that will give you spyware stuff.
And everyone was going, good Lord.
My offspring, that's what I was trying to tell you when you had phones, when you were getting the phone that was introducing you to don't click on things that you don't know. Don't click on something that's going to
it is a term
that's going to give you a virus. Same thing.
One of two things. Everybody from where you
Same thing applies here in like the spiritual realm too. In this life, don't click anything that it's going to that you don't know, because it's going to give you a virus.
The bigger car is you are a white guy, and if the ship ever hits the sand,
like when you go to church, I saw a lot of people
whether you believe in any of their politics or any of that,
like when they were praying, like touching each other, and I'm like, that's the same thing as like all those people that they're touching. Everything goes to you. You're connecting, so you're gonna take that person's pain.
They're gonna get the paperwork. They're gonna look at it. Then they're gonna go get on the phone and they're gonna do pace.
And it's going to fuck you up, because you're like, why do I feel like this? I don't know why I have to feel like this, and you don't realize that person that you touched in church is affecting you. So everybody in that church is like it's like a circle of hey, you're returning your 555.
With the crap kicked out of him, hit in the head with a lock and a sock, or stabbed. I mean, these are Tommy. Why are they doing that? Why are they looking into the background of
the
people
church
who come in to make sure?
That's why there's so many churches around, because it's business to them. Scammers go into church, and it's just like those requests that I just showed you on Instagram. It's just like that when you go to church. Just think of churches like Instagram. You're going in a church and you're going. And you're scrolling, you're going inside a church. Just imagine you're going inside a church and you're scrolling, you're walking around. So that's what you're scrolling. When you're scrolling, you're walking around. So you're walking around, you're looking at things, you're looking at pictures, you're reading. The more you read on all those information on the wall, whatever it is, you're reading. If it has a letter, an alphabet, number, you're reading it.
Here's the thing, Aaron.
And you're also, as you're doing that, you're getting a feel and a vibe of the room.
But the average human being can go,
and
I can see
you're just going to feel the energy, and you're just going to feel how you feel. It might take a couple times doing it. It might take 4 or 5 times walking around and reading everything, because it's a lot to handle. But each time you go in, it's different. The more you do that, the more each time it's going to give you something to take back in the dream state. You're scanning your brain on what you're doing, because each time you're walking in there, you're actually looking at something different. So when you go dream it, you're doing the same thing in your dream state.
They call it politics.
Because your brain's you're gonna get the idea of what you're gonna need to do. So when you go in the dream state, this is where it gets tricky. You're gonna end up doing it. Then all of a sudden you're walking somewhere completely fucking different. And then that image of the church or whatever you're popping, that you did that several times, you're walking, and then that image is going to pop up, and you're going to end up walking into that memory as you're doing your other thing. And then the spirit's going to talk to you about where to go next as you're doing your own thing. So you could be shopping, watching TV, going to the movies, talking to friends, whatnot. But in the back of your head, someone's talking to you, giving you that memory of a church.
Your crime, it could even be murder. There's nothing wrong with
and they're trying to tell you something.
Harm
in that moment in time that
as long
relates
as you were
to
not a
whatever you're
sex
doing
offender, right?
at the
Those
moment.
two, and if you ratted
That's
on
how
your
I talk
case, right? In
to
the
the
federal
spirits.
system, it's called
So
a
right now in this
5K,
moment in time,
right? A 5K1. So when
I'm
you come in with
stuck
your
in
paperwork,
limbo
returning to
in the
page
spiritual
4,
realm.
to
Only
see
a
if it
certain
says
handful of people
5K1.
know this
That
shit.
means that you cooperated
Because I
with the
can't just tell
authorities and got a lesser
anybody
sentence.
because it doesn't.
Does not make anybody happy. You know, that's a rat, and they don't like rats in the system. So
Yeah.
they do everything they can to make sure that those people are gone. The crazy thing is that even if he's going to a special needs yard, the gang dropouts on that yard, they're not going to be real happy to have a high-profile sex offender on their
I'm walking
yard.
in a cockroach. I
And
thought the cockroach was dead.
everybody is going
And
to
it
want
turns
to
out
be
to
the
be
guy that
alive.
got
And
him.
it's like it
Do you
looks like it was gonna
remember
attack
Jared
me.
from Subway?
And I was just like, oh,
Okay, I was in the
damn, you
federal
scared
system
me.
when Jared from Subway came in.
I
Now,
think of
he
an
was not
elephant.
on the yard I was on
I
because
started
he was
laughing.
sent to a special needs yard. But that guy got his first beatdown happened at Oklahoma at Con Air. He wasn't even in the prison system yet, and he had already gotten beat up. And they were shipping him all over the country because everybody wants to get out of prison and say, I punched that dude out. I knocked him smooth unconscious. You know, Danny is going to be a high-profile person that everybody wants to hurt.
You mentioned to me yesterday this concept of putting in
that
the work.
is true.
And
yes.
What does that mean, and what does that
because
mean?
I don't even think Epstein murdered himself.
Danny is not going to be asked to put in work because he's a sex offender.
I think all sex offenders, I really believe that they are heavily protected by
let's say I'm your rep. Rep is just a guy that takes care of
by people that are corrupt, by politicians.
There might be 8 units. Each unit has a rep, right? It's like a hierarchy.
And then when they go out,
they
have a whole paradise waiting for them to teach
you are third
in school.
on the list to put work in. And if you do not put in work, you cannot be on this yard. They sometimes call it a gut check or a heart check.
Are petting these children, including my children.
For the cause, and that you will follow instructions. And that's really what it comes down to. And, you know, they say you're third on the list. If somebody turns out to be a rat,
my children, I do not know where they are at. They have been in danger. And for you to not stand behind me or beside me,
we want him stabbed or we just want him beat up. You can take a lock of the
there's
sock.
a huge problem for that. If we're Sam's Club in Fountain Valley,
he gets a tattoo that says, you know, he put work in and whatever.
It's sad because
it doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense, but on any level 4
like
yard, you're not walking that yard if you don't put in work.
This is before I worked out. I had a chance to work out one night, and then I was so excited and alright, see what I could do. I always try to impress the dead people.
You made your schedule.
Because I'm alive and I can do it, and oh my god,
I did this and nothing can stop you.
So yeah, I got to do that, and
you'll be proud of, and employers will respect. Apply now.
Working overnight,
and
stalking
he's going to be the word.
is the
They're going to say to somebody,
shit ever, and try not to laugh or try not to talk to yourself,
go get this guy off the yard.
And try not to talk.
If he does everything right,
and just it was so much fun, and just practicing and practicing, and I got all the jokes. It was like constant Seinfeld. I was just
he's gonna be running.
The only downfall is that I didn't get to see you boys coming home. When I got to go home, I didn't get to see you boys.
It's incredible. I mean, it's incredible.
But other than
it's
that, I loved working there. I loved meeting the new people. But it was just hard because I saw all those
after a life of privilege,
kids walking and stuff like that,
smug expectations that he has for how he should be treated. He is now the lowest of the low, with nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
Now,
the low in a place.
I liked it. I got to experience it, and
you know what I mean? What percentage?
I got to take back a lot of good things.
and then to end up in that prison as a sex offender and a famous one.
Oh.
One of the coolest things, one of the people that you interviewed the other day
And then I
said,
turned around my mom's Sam's Club card yesterday.
when he gets
They
in
go
there the
inside
first
the
time and
store.
they give him his bedroll and his
Turned it
foot locker and
around.
all that, and he's got to walk.
And I carried that card
Yelling really foul stuff
a couple of
about
times, you know. I've been with her for 2 years already now. My mom, you guys have been gone for 2 years. I've been with my mom for 2 years.
That moment of
And
reality
I'm trying to analyze a lot of things that I can.
I can't tell you
But
how
I
nasty it's
turn
gonna
the
be.
card
I've watched some
around
hard
and I
dudes
see
go into level 4
the
yards
number,
and look
and
shook
it
up.
matches
And
my
I don't get the
Instagram
impression that Danny is a particularly hard
numbers.
dude.
So you said a couple
And I
things to me
started
yesterday
laughing.
regarding the idea of COs
I'm like,
having a job or doing their job of protecting inmates. There's one particular story you told me
I do have to realize I have to take a break
well, there's two, but
and realize what I'm
the
doing.
lesser one for now is the CO walking the new guy
where it
in
all
and
started.
announcing to the entire cell that Amber Alert.
This was the federal system, and if the guy had
My boy, I miss you so
child porn
much.
charge or anything
So
that
I'm
involved
hoping
the
to
kid,
get
when he would
that
walk through
Sam's
the front
Club
door, he
card
would start screaming at the top of his lungs,
Um,
Amber Alert, Amber
or
Alert.
ask for it
I mean, there are
for
a
you
lot
boys.
there are a lot
And
of
then
officers
that number
I mean,
in the
no one
back
likes a sex
will
offender,
lead you
right?
to
No one likes a sex offender. These people take
that
advantage of,
Sam's Club card will lead you to
individuals
the
in a way that you
Walmart
can't
and on
respect
Beach
at any
Boulevard
level.
and Trash.
It brings on hate.
And then
And if
that
you're in a-
number,
If you're in an
that
environment
address
where
will
you've
lead
got
you back
nothing
to
do all
me.
day long but make weapons, right? Literally, I mean, everybody, the yards I was on, there was nobody that didn't have a piece.
But
In
I'm
fact, I
trying
remember going and
to
getting my clothing at Victorville, and the guy
remember
handed me my
every
stuff,
fucking
went,
thing, but I even forgot my
keep this on
birthday, I
you. And I
forgot
just
what
went,
year I was, I forgot
that's just
like,
great. 'Cause,
Which different facilities
certain
were you in
things that
California?
are so simple to me,
well,
I
I was
forget.
in,
And I'm like, why can't I just think of
Victorville was
it?
the California yard that I was at, and I was at the penitentiary, and I was
It's
also at the
overwhelming.
FCI.
That's where my
Right?
dad
The federal
helps me a
penitentiary is
lot.
the,
My
they
kids,
call
my
it
boys, my
Victorville.
offspring.
It is an ugly, ugly facility.
My dad has
And
said
my
I'm
points
aware of
dropped.
that.
I did enough time in
I'm
the
aware of
USP
that
my
because he's
points
not
dropped.
here
And
to
once my points
physically
dropped,
talk to
he
me
kicked
or
directly across the street.
or
I
I
got all
can
excited. You know, the concept was I was
see
going to get to
him.
go to a federal corrections
But he's
institution, which is
here.
a much softer facility. In theory. It's
So
a
I
much
know if
softer,
he's here,
facility. And
the others
that's
are
why
here
you keep your
too.
nose clean,
And I
that's why
know
you try
that
not to fail drug tests and try not to get in fights, because you want to get to yards that you have a little bit more freedom.
I can only
The
show
level
you in
4 yards are
person
locked down all the
because
time.
in
Somebody gets
this
stabbed,
form
everybody
it's
has to lock down,
difficult.
right? You come off
Until
lockdown,
you
somebody
see
stabs to
these
get back out, you're
videos,
on lockdown.
you're gonna have to
There were
practice on
stretches where in the course of
your
9 months
abilities.
you might have been out 10 days.
It's very difficult
Just
because
ugly.
people
But
of the
me
church
thinking
and
I'm all
God
happy
and
packing up my
they
clothes,
will
thinking
block
maybe I'm gonna
you
get
like
to go to one of these 120
like
yards
Amy,
somewhere in
like
a
this
nice
person,
part
like
of the
Amy
country.
West from the city
They literally put
council,
me in a van,
and
drive me
she's
across the
district,
street
and she goes to the school.
to Victorville FCI, which when I got to it was worse than the
She
USP.
talks
It really was.
a lot
There
about
was a guy that cut the
Jesus.
warden, while I was
And
there.
this one
We
she
ended up
talks
on
about
lockdown for
Joshua
about, 3 or 4 months behind that.
1.5.
But cut him through a 3-piece suit, took like 70 staples. Really, really ugly. The level of hate, you know, when he steps foot onto this
And
yard, I'm
she
telling you, it's gonna sound really sick and twisted, but
was
there's not
warned
much I
about
wouldn't
the
do to see
school,
look
the
on his
sex
face
education.
when the reality sinks in.
Those are the meetings that I
He's
went
gonna
to
be,
about talking
I
about
think,
that.
in my
She
opinion,
did not
you know,
want
you
to
have a better chance of getting
help.
protected in a county jail. Once you get to a prison
She was
yard,
for the
right? County
pushing
jail is like you're just
sex
moving your way
education at a
through.
younger
There are
age.
people
She
who are
was
willing to
for it.
live on the
She
yard
was
he gets put on
pushing
for the rest of
that
their life. That's
agenda
their home. That's
too.
their city.
And that was very
It's
alarming
frightening, right?
because
But that's the truth.
she
You
had
get a
little ones
55-year
herself that were
sentence.
not going in the
This
school
is,
district. She
this
was
is
lying.
all.
There's a bunch of
Trust
lying
me, that
going
guy
on.
ain't
You
getting out
cannot
of
lie
jail.
when you have children.
Because what's going to
These
happen
children's
is,
lives.
I promise you're going to see a lot more cases start coming out. And, you know, you were asking the other
What
day,
about
do you think
the
that they'll
kids
bring
that don't
charges?
have
They will
parents
bring charges. They're
like
gonna bring
me?
charges. Because
I'm a
number one,
parent
it's
that I
justice
never
for
got
the-
to
for the
have.
victims. They have a right to
My offsprings. This
see
is
him
why
get
I am
punished
fighting
for it.
too,
And the
because
other
I
thing, you know,
have
for what he did, and
a
the
brother
other
and
thing is,
sister that
God
was
forbid
just
they
as abused
overturn
that
a
I
sentence.
was. My brother.
They throw out
should have been dead a long
15 years
time
later,
ago,
he's
and
able
he's
to
still
walk,
alive.
out the front door because one got overturned on appeal, and they had a chance to charge
The
him
weight
on 400 crimes
gain,
that
all
made
that weight
no
gain
chance
and
in hell.
everything,
They're
that
gonna charge
wasn't
him for
him. That's
every
not
one of
him. Those are the
things.
pills, and that's abuse.
Right, you're talking,
And that
you're
is
talking about
my
whether
dad. That
prosecutors
is my
would,
mom
even though he's
neglecting.
already
That's
in prison,
neglect. That's
prosecute
abuse.
him for new victims that come forward. You're saying, hell yes, they will.
Oh yeah, they're going to. I promise you, they're going to. You know?
Why is it? You mentioned
He
earlier
married
that
a Mormon.
the only chance he would have to join
took
either a gang
on
or a group that might provide protection is to
her
convert
last
to Islam.
name.
Why is that?
Because it's the only religion that I saw in the prison
And he's now
system
a Potter.
that would take
So
anybody in, because
when
their philosophy is
I found out that
anything you
Harry
did
Potter
before you
was
handed your life over to
was
to Allah,
mimicking some
that's
things
all in the past, and it's all
of
forgiven and it's all forgotten.
our ancestors.
So you see a lot of guys come in the front door and instantly start screaming, "Where's the Muslim car?"
That's where
That's
I go.
instant, you know, that from that point
That's
on,
where I was
that's where you
connecting
eat,
Hermes.
That's where you hang out. Those are the people that you can live with.
Back in high
It
school,
really
like
is going to change how you do your time. But as high profile as he is as a Scientologist, I don't see
it's
him,
very dangerous taking
joining
some
up
pills,
with the,
like certain drugs,
Muslim
because you don't know
folks.
what the fuck you're smoking. Not all the weeds are the same. Like you don't know if, like, it's just different. It's just, anyways. I haven't tried DMT yet. I haven't tried.
You might have just answered a
shrooms.
question I was going to ask, which is, if celebrities are such high targets and if sex offenders
I've
are such high
tried
targets, how did someone like Mike
other.
Tyson make
I've
it through his
tried
time? Is it because he converted to Islam inside?
fasting.
the other
I
thing
tried
is
the
this,
meditation. I tried the
different
non-sleep
states
before. I
and
tried
for different races, there is a
like
different
not eating
philosophy
certain
about
things or not
sex
going
offenders
doing
within different
without.
races, and I'm not trying to get political and bust on anybody or anything else. But
Like, what can you do when you
California white
have
boys are
less?
probably the most
What can
savage
you?
people in
I'm
the
putting
entire
myself
world
in a
when it comes
child's
to taking
form.
care
Like
of
as a
sex
child, what
offenders.
did
He
I do?
picked the
Because
wrong
it seemed to
state
help.
to be a white sex
So that's what I
offender.
did. So then,
You know, it's just they
now that
really
I'm
run
an
a tight
adult,
line.
I'm able to do
Very,
certain things. I'm able to
and
read
Mike
now.
Tyson is probably a little bit better
So when I would read
if I had to fight one of the two of them, I think I'd like to fight two nannies.
certain
take off
magicians'
Mr. Tyson.
books
Wow.
and witches'
So
books, I don't
I'm
have
assuming
to
it's going
do
to come
what
as a
they did.
surprise
They
to others
already
just
did
because it came as
that.
such a
I
surprise
just
to
have
me
to connect
that
and
even
piggyback off
the
of them on
Aryan
what they
Nation
did.
gang in the prisons
And if it
wouldn't even
fits
consider
me, or
letting
if I
Danny
feel
join them for
comfortable in
protection.
doing
Is
it,
that what you're saying?
There's no
they give me
prison
that
gang
opportunity
on
to
the
try
planet
it.
that is gonna take
But
that
it does
man in.
come with attachments to it.
Sex offenders.
How
it's
am I
called
going to do it? How am I
NC
going to block that
status. You heard
attachment?
that before?
NC status?
When you go
Nothing
into
coming,
that door of
right?
trying
You got nothing coming.
their
When he
witchcraft,
comes
or
walking out,
how do they get that?
he's
You have
got
to
his
understand
pillow and
where
his
did they
bedroll
come
and
up
all
with it.
that. If he
What were
gets
they
to his
doing?
cell with his
That
pillow
might,
open
because
shut,
you're
there are
getting
gonna
that
be people
drawn. You're
just
getting
treat
pulled
that
into
dude
that.
like a doormat
So how do you
and do
go in
whatever
there
they want. He
without
gets on the phone
going? I
to go
want to
call his
explore
wife.
more.
People
Like,
will walk up,
you
hang
have
up
to
the phone,
block
and go
yourself,
beat it.
because that's where
And you're on NC status. You got nothing
entities and
coming,
other
right?
spirits will
Nothing.
come and
That's just how
attach
it works.
you
So I
to,
got sent. The last
like,
prison that I went
vampires
to
kind of
was
type
in
thing.
Oregon, Sheridan, Oregon. And
It will
they call
make
it
you come up and
Paradise,
think of
right? Because
stupid
it is
shit.
as close
For
to
instance, like
freedom as you're going to get
Hitler
in a federal
popped
prison.
up
It
today.
is soft. I mean, really soft.
And
But
to me, I'm
that
picturing
was the
him
first one that
laughing,
I'd been on where
because
they had sex offenders.
it's
And
not
when
going
you
to
show
go
up, they
anywhere.
say
Look
to
at
you,
him. He's dead
there are
and
guys
gone.
here that have
He's
bad
laughing
paperwork.
at those
And they had
people
them
that
all in a
are
row,
following his
like
work.
9 cells all in a row. Every
He's
single
laughing
one
at
of them
them like,
was a sex offender.
you're stupid
And they
in a
warn you, I had
stupidity
4 months
way.
left, right?
What
Instead
are
of
you
4
doing? What are
months.
you
But
thinking?
I
Because
ended my
that's
prison
not what
career by
he,
doing that 4 months.
as a
Like, if I
child,
went back to the feds right now, I'd be in deep
because he
doo-doo
was
for not taking one of those guys out
drugged
on
up
that
to
yard.
be a
So would everybody else that I was there
supreme
with.
Trump
But
kind of type thing.
interestingly, they ate
One
stand the
ruler,
gun.
one something.
They were not allowed to
So
sit
they
down. So
can
3
make
meals a
someone
day,
else like
these
that.
guys would stand up
They
there with their
were
trays. I mean,
prototype.
It's a rugged life. And I remember talking to a guy and saying, you know, I
So
don't
that's
like
what they're
idea
doing
that
with the
they're on the
Chosen
yard, but it does make the food taste a
144.
lot
They're
better
doing
when you see
exactly the
those
same
guys
thing.
standing
So
up
I'm
to
not.
eat it,
Don't
you know?
buy into that. Don't feed into that.
They're
Don't
made to eat
give
3
it your
meals a day
energy.
standing up.
Don't
Is that just because
label yourself.
that's
Don't
the price
label
that you guys
anybody.
get to pay
Just
for the
do
fact that we're
you.
not
Be
attacking you
you.
every day? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
but why did they skate? Why were they able to skate at that? Is it because?
Because
What
in
was
the
the
end,
reason?
it
custody
doesn't
level.
matter. Like
It's the custody level. What it comes
I
down
have
to
to
is
get
this.
over it. It's
And
my time. I
not
miss
all
you
of them
boys. I
skate.
just want
Like
you
in the
boys.
time that I was there, about 8 or 9 solid
I don't want
white
any
guys came
more.
through. And what that means is as soon as they found out those guys were there, they sprinted across the room and attacked one.
Any more kids
You
to
know,
get
and,
hurt.
you know, then they get shipped to another yard. And if you're going to be spending 25 years or 30 years in there, you need to keep your name solid as hell. I have a
There's no need to drag your child in a fucking grocery store
But I got shipped to where I was, you know, as
or
close
getting
to home as I
clothes
could
for
be.
some
That was the
for
closest yard.
your
And the new
childhood
law
because
was
you have
they have to get you
childhood
near
traumas
home,
that
like within
your
500
child now
miles in
has
the
to
last 6
suffer
months,
because
he
you can't
says.
deal with.
So I didn't have a choice of where I was
Your
going.
child does
That was
not
the
need
yard.
to go being
And
dragged
I
with
could have
you
bucked,
to do errands
got
or
more
anything
time,
like
got
that. Your
sent to a
child, you
different
need to
place.
spend time
I
with
was
your
like, yeah,
child
no, man, I
outdoors,
just want to get out,
making memories.
relive my life.
And
By
my
that
boys,
point, I was
that's
about
exactly what I was
5
trying to do
years
with
sober,
you.
and I
So
had not
whenever
had
you
5
got
years
in
of sobriety in
trouble,
my
I
life.
would use buddy
That was
time.
a
Like, oh,
first.
you're my little buddy.
But
By the way, how many years
get to
did
go
you do
with
total, if you
me
don't mind my asking?
to do errands,
altogether,
and
I've
I would
done
like still
13.
wait for that.
13 years.
Yep.
You explained something to me yesterday about
So you guys
the
saw
idea
that as
of green light,
punishment, but
of
I
being
saw
green
that
lit,
as
and how it works
bonding
with the
time.
gangs.
I got
and,
to experience
and sort of
one-on-one
how
time with you
why
boys.
it's so important
I
to
got
understand
to-
that Danny's
I love
not
those
going to have the
moments.
protection of one of the gangs or the
And
cars
I
or
made
whatever.
it fun.
Can you explain that?
Sure. Let's say
I did.
2 people get into a beef, right?
And these
As
these
opposed to
high
just
school
start swinging
people
on
that I
each
knew
other
from
and getting the unit
these
locked down
kids from high
and
school
having all
that they're
kinds of
now
problems,
grown
because
ups
when
and
the
they
unit
now
gets
have the
locked
kids
down,
of their own.
they're going to bring in the goon squad and they're going to search every single cell, right? They're going to throw all your contraband out. It tends to really piss off the
They have
the,
no
the
heart.
white guys. You know what I'm saying? They don't like having
My
their
dad
stuff
said they're all
interrupted.
gone.
So,
They've been gone.
The
Like, I'm
rep
like, what does that
of the
mean?
unit will talk to the shot caller, and if you and I got a beef, they'll say, all right, here's
I'm
how it's
like,
going
I
to
can
work out.
finally,
The 2 of
like,
you are going in that cell, and you're going to fight, you know? And
celebrate
the,
and fight
the winner
until,
comes
like,
out, the
truth,
loser still stays
the
on the
cord.
yard, we'll take care of him, whatever, but that's how you're going to settle your beef.
Yeah,
There are people who make those decisions.
999.
Let's say
I saw a
you and I
license
get
plate.
into an argument, I'm a black
9
guy, you're a white guy. Now we really got an issue,
CUT
right? Because if you strike somebody from a
9
different race, bad things
something
happen.
9.
So I would have to go to my shot caller. You would have to go to your shot caller. Those 2 get together. They have a discussion on what's going to happen. But if they give a green light, like let's say there are 2 gangs that beef,
Because I'm like, that
right?
shit is
They'll have a
all
green light. What it means
But it
is
said cut.
you see them, you attack them, and you try to kill them on site. You're green lighted. SOs are green lighted. Right?
When
They're
I do,
always green lighted.
in my head, when I
solid
see
white
a
guy
6 or
in the
9,
California system, if he gets
I'll
a
do a
shot
little,
hitting
like,
you and
but,
doesn't,
or a little
you want
lever
this
in my
career.
head, like a
You
switch,
understand? Like from
like a light
prison,
switch on and
you know,
off.
I am a
Because
convict
like sometimes you don't know if it's a 9 or
mindset.
6, so
If
you
you
go
got
on
an
and off.
opportunity to
And
punch a
then
sex
I'll do
offender,
that in
stomp
my
him
head.
out,
I'm doing just for
stab him,
fun,
whatever,
just for shits and
and
giggles.
you
I'll
don't
do
take
that in my
advantage
head.
of that,
And
they're going to take you off the yard. You're gone. It's a pretty bizarre world.
I did that, and it's just one of my games that I
It's a
play.
bizarre world.
So once you explained all this to me yesterday, I said,
Helps
you
me
know,
go along with things, and it makes
when you have a culture where not only is it permitted to attack or even kill someone like Danny, not only is it just permitted, it's actually a problem if you
it's
don't.
sad because
I said, then how is it that there's any
how did
left in the
he
system?
get
How is
that
it that
point?
any of them even continue
Danny
to
was
remain?
man-made too.
And what, if any, chance does Danny even have
It's sickening
to survive
because he's
in
so
the
brainwashed.
system? What
he's got
what are
going
his,
for
My knee
What
hurting
he has
me
going
on it.
for him
It's
is
so let's see what
cash.
that means.
Hey, put family first by ordering new $5 bites from Dave & Buster's.
But let's use the federal system as an example because it's a much larger microcosm. You get on the yard, right, and they find out your paperwork is bad. They're going to beat the ever-loving crap out of you within, a day of you being there. Then you're going to go to the hole.
So where's
you're
the
going to wait
justice
for
for
about 4
Britney
months to
Spears
see the
too?
disciplinary hearing officer for your fight. Now, they're going to say we're taking 120 days of good time or we're taking 60
Is this
days
what
of good time credits or
Scientology
whatever.
teaches?
And so your sentence
This
just
is
got
what
a
they've
little
been
longer.
doing.
And they say, now we're
Because
shipping you to a different
he's
yard.
not the only
That
one.
person waits in the hole for probably 8 to 9 months to catch the train to the next spot. When they get to the next spot, the same thing is going to happen. There are guys in the federal system that do their
So
entire
when you are
sentence
able
exactly
to
like
help out,
that.
you help
One ass
out.
kicking
And a
after
lot of
another,
people now are
and then
becoming
shipped to a new yard.
healers
Get to the new
because
yard,
of
get
somebody
beat
else's
within an inch of your life,
bullshit
go to the
that
hole,
they
wait for the disciplinary
caused.
hearing officer, and it's just, rinse and repeat. The
So
reason that a
instead
lot of
of
these
looking
people
at
are
Britney
not
Spears
gone
as a
is because
celebrity or
when you go to the
like
shoe, you're protected. They're not going to
a
stick anybody
singer,
in the. When you go to
an
the shoe,
artist, now
if
you
you
have to
have
look at
really
her as a
rotten
healer,
paperwork,
as
the only
a
person you can ever
shaman,
put in that cell with you is somebody that has really rotten paperwork.
someone
So
respectful.
anybody that Danny becomes a homeboy with for the rest of his time on this planet
Because
probably did
that's,
something really foul to a woman or a child. He's never going to have anybody that he lives with that isn't a freak.
Now, you mentioned some of these gangs might, well, you mentioned cash is what he has going for him. That they might literally sell him. Like, there are people who will be willing to protect him for
my sons, you are the same
different
age
than
as her
letting you
kids.
join, that's different than a gang letting you join a gang. A gang will protect you for a fee, but they don't consider you a member. How does that work?
Yeah, you're not a member in any way,
I'm
shape,
not
or
ready
form.
for
What you're doing
grandkids
is
yet,
you're
but I want a
handing,
baby
it's just
so
rent.
bad.
You're handing enough money to
But I don't
the
want a
powers
baby
that
in
be,
this
right at the
world.
top of the food
Because
chain
in this
terms
world,
of
they'll
the gang
just
on the yard.
use
You're
that
paying
child
for the
for
right to be
sex.
there. Now, this happened in Victorville.
And
right?
I'm scared for you
I don't
boys.
suppose it matters, right? Because the guy's dead anyway. But the
Because
shotgun's
I
name
know
was Snow.
a lot of these women, like my mom,
Supposedly,
would be like
I don't know if there's any truth
Black
to it, but
Widow at Praying
supposedly he
Mantis.
was letting people pay rent at Victorville. He knew that some people had some paperwork that was bad, and he was taking large chunks of cash to not out these people, or what they call pulling your covers. Right? That's
Don't
the
let
term in prison.
anyone
He pulled
tear
his
you
covers and he
down.
let everybody know everything, right? So
Be
they
with
cut his
someone
head off
that
and left
lifts
him
you
with 2
up.
shanks
Be
in his
with
eyes.
someone
The shot
that
collar. No joke.
loves
Like
you.
that's one you can look up.
It's
That
okay
was,
to be
one of the
alone.
most vicious.
It's okay not to want kids or have kids. It's perfectly okay. Don't force yourself. Be ready when you're ready. When you're ready, you know when you're ready.
Like, it really is. It's the kind of thing
You
where
feel like you could take on a little bit more responsibility when you're ready.
segregated housing unit, like people call it the hole. And they brought a guy into our hallway because it goes off in 3 different hallways. And he